Hello, hello, hello. Today I'll be covering the first Spanish dockyard ship, the Tier 9 Admiral Oquendo. Now, the Oquendo can be earned through her dockyard event that'll be starting in 13.7, and let's just talk about that event a little bit before we start talking about the ship. Now, for this event, this time around for the dockyard, it's only 20 stages to complete, 18 of which are earnable through the dockyard missions. Now, players can earn the Tier 6 Light Cruiser the Leipzig as the 10th phase reward. Now, if you already have this ship, you'll get 2 dockyard stages instead of the ship, which allows you to earn the Oquendo for free. So if you've done the Wisconsin dockyard, then this dockyard is very, very similar in that regard. So definitely take note of that there. Now, otherwise, the cheapest option is to buy the 2-stage starter pack for 3,000 doubloons. Players may also buy 7 stages for 8,000 doubloons if they don't want to farm the last round of missions or to farm extra steel, because you get 250 steel per extra phase. Now, if you buy these 2 bundles, now there are individual bundles that are cost 2,000 doubloons. So pretty much, if you want to buy out the whole dockyard stage, it costs normally like 30-something thousand doubloons normally. It's a lot, so a lot of the time it's better just to wait, just grind out the missions, buy the starter packs if you want to get it that way, or if you already have the libs, you can get the ship for free, so you don't even have to buy anything, just grind out the missions for the 2 months and you'll be good to go. Now, the event will be running until the end of 13.9, which should be around, it's about the October, so around the end of, around middle of October-ish. The combat missions for the dockyard tokens will only be available until then. If the player is unable to complete enough missions during this time frame, you can still buy the dockyard phases to finish building her until the end of update 13.9. Now that we covered the dockyard event, let's talk about the ship and the ship build itself. So the build itself, you guys can take a moment to pause the video anytime to take a look at it as I talk about it here. Pretty much the build focuses on the main strengths of the ship, which are the guns and its alternate firing mode, which makes the guns super accurate. So you'll be willing to reload, gun feeder, just overall just strengthen your guns way more for this particular build. You guys can leave a comment down below what you think of the build, but let's move on and talk about the main strength of this ship, its guns. Now on the Oquendo, you get 12 203mm guns that have a pretty mediocre firing angles, but they do have a very respectable 17.6 kilometer range with a 13-second reload, which is pretty decent. Now, the main gimmick of this ship is its funny button. Now, this funny button improves the accuracy on the salvo that is activated on, but it also increases the reload for the next salvo. So pretty much what this does is that when you click the F key to activate this, whenever you shoot, that salvo then becomes more accurate, so way more accurate than the previous, but it increases your reload by about 4 seconds-ish, depending upon how you decide to build the Oquendo. So you can have a more accurate salvo. Now, this could be great for long-range shooting to try to get those really punishing broadside shots onto enemy cruisers, light cruisers, heavy cruisers, or even lightly armored battleships. You can try to get citadels at distance. I had a lot of success citadeling cruisers within about 14 to 13 kilometers. Normally, if you go outside of that, it's going to be really painful to do that if they're not just flat broadside. Now, for battleships, it's not going to have enough pin to citadel battleships unless it's very close. Even then, the battleships are going to be more likely to do it are the British, like the Monarch, or maybe the Conqueror, or maybe possibly the Duncan and the Renown, maybe along those lines, maybe. But overall, like, this gimmick is a lot of fun to use. It makes it where you can use HE for the regular salvos, but if you want to get those really spicy, accurate, heavy-hitting AP salvos at middle or even close distance, where you're doing a drive-by, you want to make sure all of your shots actually hit in the exact spot you want it, that funny button right there will definitely make it able to do that. You'll do a lot of damage. Now, this ship does have a great firepower and respectable AP broadside when the gimmick is ready. So definitely make sure that you make great use out of it if you do get this ship. Now, you also have torpedoes as well, so if you do decide to do a drive-by, you have two 533 millimeter torpedo launchers, one on each side, and they have a range of 8 kilometers. Now, this isn't a very long-range torpedoes. They're about, like, they're pretty short range for a 2.9 cruiser, so you'll be using these more on a drive-by, or like when you're driving by a ship, pretty much just doing a drive-by using the guns and the torps. They are fast, like pretty much if someone is fast rushing at you, like as you're cutting away from them, you can use torpedoes in that instance as well. So say you get a little bit too close to the enemy on an island, you kind of turn around and start cutting away. You can launch torpedoes doing it that way. Because these torpedoes do decent damage. They have 17k max damage. So 17,000 is pretty good for the Spanish Tier 9's cruisers. So definitely high respectable in that regard. But the thing is, the reload is pretty slow, it being almost 2 minutes. So do not expect these torpedoes to come back anytime soon when you do launch them. Now, the torpedoes are definitely not the main strength of this ship, but they do add some nice spice to our already strong armament of the main guns. Moving on, let's talk about her survivability. How tanky or squishy is the Oquendo? Well, the Oquendo has a 48,300 HP pool, same as the Tier 9 Spanish tech tree cruiser, the Andalucia. And you have a 25mm bow/stern with a 50mm icebreaker bow, which is very nice. It makes it really hard for you to get citadel through the bow, so always a very nice touch for a cruiser. You also have a 27mm deck armor with a 40mm lower side armor. Now, this side armor and the deck armor is pretty typical armor plating for a tier. She also gets a space armor that helps her stop citadel hits. So it's making it a lot harder for your enemies to be able to citadel you. Now, even though you do get this space armor, you do have a very high citadel placement, which is easily citadeled if not angled properly. Now, even though you can get easily citadeled if not angled properly, while she does have a high HP pool for 203mm, her weak citadel does make her easy to kill off not angled properly. Now, remember I'm saying not angled properly. If you are angled properly, where you're pretty much, as long as you're not showing full broadside and you're going about maybe 45 degrees and enter toward the enemy, you're angling yourself toward them, you're not gonna take any citadels. This thing is really hard to citadel when you're angled, and it can even tank a lot of damage from battleships and cruisers, from that icebreaker bow, the 50mm one, and the 25mm bow and stern. It can just tank a lot of damage. Now, when it's fighting other cruisers, it may get farmed out because of the fact that it has a little bit longer of a reload, unfortunately, but you are able to tank yourself to where you can pretty much just tank and then go dark and then turn out. You're not just going to get instantly dev struck like a lot of the other light cruisers at the tier. Unless you're just showing perfectly broadside, you're not going to get citadeled in this thing. Not really. I played this thing a lot, and I haven't really gotten citadeled unless I'm just showing complete broadside. And at that point, you just deserve it. If you're sailing broadside in a ship, you just deserve to get citadel. So just take it as you are. Just don't sail broadside, and you'll be perfectly fine in this thing. Moving on, let's talk about this ship's anti-air. Unfortunately for the anti-air, it's not very good. Even if you do pick DFA, which, yeah, don't take DFA, just take Hydro, please. You aren't going to be shooting down many planes at all. Not at least until they drop their load. So just learn to dodge with this thing for that. So good luck with the anti-air. It's definitely not the best. It's not the worst, but still, the anti-air is pretty poor, so just get used to it. For the anti-sub airstrikes, you have the standard 7 kilometer range. which is very nice. It makes it where you don't have to, you know, run up on the sub. At least you're able to use your ASW airstrikes to be able to hit the submarine. Super nice. So we'll take it. We'll take some wins. It's better than having the surface depth charges. So we'll take a wins with that one. So big plus there. Moving on, let's talk about the maneuverability. We do have a fast base speed of 36 knots, which is very good when you're changing positions. Now on this ship, it's definitely going to be more of a kiting rule ship. You're going to be playing more further back, doing a lot of farming at distance, using AP salvos on broadside targets when you're able to. Now, you are going to need to use that speed to maneuver around. So say you're on a flank, you're winning, and you see the other side of the map starting to lose, and they're trying to kite towards you. You can then kite toward them, help them out, and be able to push that flank when your flank that you're on is already winning. So you can do maneuvers like that with that high speed, which is definitely very useful as well. And the turret diverse isn't that bad either on this ship. So you're able to use that speed in its very good turning radius of 790 meters. For how big this ship is, that turning radius is actually really, really good. Unfortunately, you do have a 11.9 second rudder shift, which is not the fastest. It's about average for the tier. So for a heavy cruiser, though, it is very good maneuverability, which you'll definitely need to use to dodge incoming fire. I had a lot of fun being able to use this ship's maneuverability to be able to dodge a lot of incoming battleship shells, which you'll be seeing throughout the two replays I'll be showcasing today. I have two replays. The first one is more focused on more fighting against cruisers, while the second one's more focused on me fighting against battleships, which it can be kind of painful, but if you know what you're doing with your dodging, you'll be good. As long as you do your little throttle jukes and little wiggles here and there, you're not going to take that much damage. You'll do perfectly fine. So the concealment on this thing, you have a best surface concealment of 11.3 kilometers, which is really good for a tier 9 cruiser nowadays. No, sorry, let me rephrase that. For a tier 9 heavy cruiser, that's really good. Now the aerial detection is 8.5 kilometers. Yeah, that's absolutely dog water. That you're just going to get spotted from the sun by aircraft carriers. So if you're in an aircraft carrier match, just be more passive, because if you get spotted by the aircraft and the fact you don't have very good anti-air, you're not going to be able to shoot down the planes. So they'll just sit above you and keep you spotted. Now, so there is a trick that I have learned. I don't know if you guys know this about ASW planes, but they actually will, if they fly in the range of enemy fighters, the enemy fighters will actually attach to them and attack them. So what you can do is that if you see a fighter and your ASW is in range, you launch your ASW planes at them, and then then the fighters will attach to them, and then the fighters, once they attack the ASW planes, then they'll go away once the ASW plane is gone. So that's just a little trick. Now this can work with any ASW planes, by the way, and any fighters, unless they are interceptors. Interceptors only attack actual like attack planes, but the interceptors don't spot, so you don't have to worry about that. So for any type of fighters, you can use ASW planes to get the fighters to go away. So just a little tip there. If you guys did not know that, make sure you write that down in the comments to be able to give some tips to other WoWs players, because that is not something that a lot of people know. And the more people that know, the more people that can spread it, and the more people that can then learn to use their ASW planes for more than just going up against submarines. They can use it for helping get rid of those fighters. Now, moving on from there, let's talk about the consumables before we talk about my overall opinions of the ship. Pretty much for consumables, you get a standard 5-second DCP with a standard cruiser repair party. Now, you can choose between a spotter plane or a fighter. Just pick spotter. At this point, there really isn't a choice in picking fighter yet. Now, currently, right now, there is a closed testing server where you can test the CV rework that they're doing. Fighters are actually somewhat useful on there, but at this point, nope, just pick, for the main server, just pick spotter planes, but maybe in the future that will change and I'll do an updated video, but as of right now, just pick spotter planes. Now, for DFA or Hydro, pick Hydro, please. The DFA, it's not really worth it with this ship. The anti-air isn't really that impressive, so if you have DFA, all it's going to do is make it go from a turd to a golden turd. Not worth it at all. So just focus on hydroacoustics and you will do perfectly fine. I'll say that the Oquendo is pretty similar to other kiting cruisers in gameplay, but with the big ace up her sleeve being the improved accuracy on demand. In an alternative mode, which is the funny button that we're just talking about, it makes it where the Oquendo's accuracy dramatically increases at the cost of her reload. Now, the cost of the reload is about 3 or 4 seconds. It isn't that massive, but at the same time, 3 or 4 seconds over time will add up. It'll cost you 1 salvo and about 5. So definitely time it correctly, and you can heavily punish or even dev strike careless broadside cruisers with AP. Now, alternatively, you can deliver an accurate parting shot to a ship before you disengage. So pretty much if you're going behind an island or you see them about to go behind an island, you can do like a really accurate salvo to make sure all of your shells hit. It can work really well in those instances. Or if you see someone's about to turn out, you can do a really accurate salvo to try to do citadels. There's just a lot of instances where that just accuracy on demand can really pay off. This ship with its 203mm guns can do a lot of damage to cruisers. You can dev strike lower tier or light cruisers for sure in this thing. 100% you can just dev strike them, like Minotaurs, Neptunes, stuff like that. Easily dev strikeable. Even boosters you can dev strike if you get all the AP on them, get all those citadels. Oh yeah, easily. You'll have a ball of a time doing it because the shells are so accurate that you're just gonna hit pretty much almost hit the exact same spot. It is insanely accurate. If you've watched during these replays how pretty much the normal salvo is okay, right? Like it's still normal cruiser accuracy. Then you just activate that a sniper mode and instantly the shells just go super accurate. It's just like, wow. It's a world of difference. Just a world of difference. Way more accurate. It's amazing. It's super nice to see when you have this sort of like gimmicks. Like it's always interesting to see. Like, yeah, we see a crap ton of gimmicks from... We pretty much see a crap ton of gimmicks from the game, but this one's a pretty nice one for more skilled player as well. It makes it where, you know, like if you know that you're really good at aiming, you know how to aim your shots, this is gonna feel really satisfying to hit those really juicy citadel shots. It's gonna feel so good. Because nowadays it feels like a lot of ships, just dispersions are just all over the place. And you're not able to punish people for going broadside. So the fact that we have a dockyard ship where you can get it for free if you already have the Leipzig, or you can pay about 3,000 doubloons if you do all the missions. So you can do it's a pretty cheap tier 9 cruiser that you can also use a crew trainer for the Spanish. So further down the line, they'll have new premium ships going for the Spanish and new tech tree lines as well. They'll definitely have those planned for sure. And this can be a great beginner crew trainer for that. Also, tier 9s as well have the best matchmaking for credit farming. They also have amazing credit farming bonuses for them as well. Tier 9s and tier 8s are the best credit farmers in the game for World of Warships. So having a cheaper tier 9 credit farmer, that's a cruiser, you'll be able to make a lot of credits with this thing to help you to earn or getting more tech trees. Also, with the tier 9, you're able to get a lot of commander XP and free XP as well, as do all premiums. So you can get a lot of extra bonuses for those as well. Also, if you guys did not hear, in 13.8, they have announced that there is going to be operations going for tier 9s, 10s, and super ships. And the same operation rules will be applying just like in randoms, where it's going to be a +1 or -1 mechanic. So tier 9s can be in with tier 10s or tier 8s, so on and so forth, which is really, 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 really good. This makes it where you can bring 9s into operations and use your credit farmers in there. So, or if you're trying to bring in a ship that you aren't used to yet, you can take into operations and practice in there as well. This is amazing. People have been wanting higher tier operations for years. So the fact that you can do that, it is amazing. I highly recommend you guys do that once it is out. But I got a little bit sidetracked there. I'm just super excited for the new operations. But I think the Oquendo would be an amazing ship for operations as well. You got the torpedoes, hard-hitting guns, super accurate. It'll be a lot of fun to play. A good credit farmer, a good crew trainer for the Spanish. Thumbs up for me on this ship for sure. Now, overall, I would say that the Oquendo is essentially a generic kiting cruiser with an occasional funny button to punish broadside enemies. Now, to some people, she may not seem interesting, not that interesting at all because the generic kiting cruiser, but you could blame her given the success of the Wisconsin's Dockyard. Like, we go from the Wisconsin, right? Like, one of the most OP dockyards we've ever seen, being used in clan battles, super popular in ranks, very popular amongst the high competitive, even the casuals as well. The ship is popular everywhere. It's been in the top recent player list top 5 for a while now. It's super popular right now everywhere. So she isn't super flashy like the Wisconsin or super gimmicky. Like, she has her gimmick of the more accurate shells, but compared to Wisconsin, she's not even close and gimmicky, but she gets the job done, right? The Admiral Oquendo gets the job done. Now, if you get her, she's going to serve as a great captain retrainer, like I was saying. So when you grind down the Spanish tech tree lines, it'll make a great crew trainer for that. Now, a little bit of history. The Oquendo represents the Project 138. It's Spain's proposed design to compete with other modern cruisers. This would never happen, as the post-Spanish Civil War meant there was no funds available for any ship building. So, unfortunately, this ship never came to fruition, but it was a design that was proposed, but there was no funds. So, no money means no ships, unfortunately. But overall, I think that this ship has a very interesting gimmick. It is very useful for the fact that you only, get a reload penalty when you use the gimmick. It's not really like, it's not anything worse than just a slight reload, like a reload penalty. They could have made it way worse. They could have made it where it was like a burst fire with like a 30-second reload or something like crazy like that, right? They just made it where the shells are more accurate and you have like a slight 3 or 4 second penalty on the reload, right? So instead of it being like, okay, so you build into it, right? You build into the reload, it goes to about 11 seconds when you build into it, right? So 11-second reload, and when you use the gimmick, you activate it, it goes to about 14 to 15 seconds, right? That really isn't that big of a difference when you're trying to get that 1 AP salvo in. You're trying to get that 1 salvo in, right? To get that really good broadside hit. And then you're going to go back to your regular shot anyway. Because when you do that shot, 90% of the time, the next shot that's going to happen, even if the shot was 11 seconds, you're not going to get another AP salvo like that again in 11 seconds, right? It would have to be like within 5 seconds. You know what I mean? So the fact that it's a 3 or 4 cycle penalty isn't that bad, right? I like it. Like, it's okay. It's perfectly fine. I think it's perfectly acceptable. Now, do I think this ship will do as well as the Wisconsin? Hell no. This ship is definitely not going to do as well as Wisconsin. Wisconsin is one of the most historically famed ships. It's definitely the reason why a lot of people are going for this history, the history factor of the Wisconsin. So a lot of people are like, oh, well, this ship is going to be as popular. Well, that's going to be the main reason, because you're going up against the Wisconsin, right? That thing is a plethora of historical fame, right? It's also American as well. So that's also another reason. But to me, the Oquendo is a strong ship, and it's outright. It's a lot of fun to play. It's tanky, great guns, okay as torpedoes. Unfortunately, like, I think the biggest negative of this ship is the fact that it's anti-air. Its anti-air is definitely lackluster, unfortunately. But that's just how it is. Unfortunately, not every ship is going to have all good. There's going to be some bad in there. So for this ship having that unique gimmick, it's going to have a negative, and its negative is the fact that it doesn't have great anti-air. Maneuverability is great. Good fast speed. Great turning radius, so very maneuverable ship. It has amazing surface concealment, but unfortunately the air concealment is pretty terrible on this ship, so you'll end up being spotted by CVs. Consumables are great too. You get, you know, the standard DCP. You get a heal. Heals are always nice. You get a spotter, planer, fighter. Of course you pick fighter. Of course you pick spotter. And then you have the choice between hydro and DFA, and of course you take hydro, right? So of course. But anyway, I think that this dockyard is great. I think you guys should all go and get it. Of course, if you have the Leipzig, the tier 6 cruiser, you can get the ship for free. Sorry, you can get the Oquendo for free. And if you don't have the Leipzig, you can get the Leipzig for free by just doing the dockyard. So win-win. But anywho, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any questions, concerns, definitely let me know in the comments down below. This is Overlord Bo, and I'll talk to y'all later.